I'm almost a little bit embarrassed to tell you guys this story because as someone who has been budgeting and spreadsheeting my finances for the last 9 years, trying to turn my financial shit around, it just is strange that I could possibly somehow lose track of kind of a big chunk of money in an investment account. And it's like, it's pretty wild. I guess the reality of it is I didn't lose track of it. I just never knew about it, and there is some reasons why, which I'll talk about in a minute. But first, I've got some catching up to do on saying thank you to you guys because so many of you lovely people support me directly and through YouTube with the super thanks option, and I want to go through those real quick first. Since Transfer Tuesday is all about those money moves, and granted the super thanks are not any money I'm able to move right now, but you guys definitely directly support my YouTube income, and that is so appreciated and helps in further money moves down the road. And I just appreciate all of you so much, especially all of the love on my last video about me moving. It's very exciting. That was definitely a lot for me to share, and it just meant the world to me that all of you are so kind and we're so accepting and excited about this new chapter of my life. So thank you so much. So yeah, I've got 2 weeks to catch up on because I didn't do a Transfer Tuesday last week, so I apologize about that. Other than the super thanks, I did not have any additional money moves to share, unfortunately. But super thanks from the last 2 weeks. So 2 weeks ago, Robert, thank you so much. He sent me $2 and said, let's all rock 2025. Rachel, yes, it's going to be an amazing year. Already has been. Thank you, Robert. And then on the same day, Skippy Boots sent me $2 Australian. Thank you so much. They said, so excited to see what this year brings for you, Rachel. Keep your head high and eyes on the prize. Absolutely. And then 5 days ago, Rihanna sent me $4.99 and said, love to see you happy and glad for the update. Thank you. And then 3 days ago, Carol gifted me with $24.99 and said, I have a t-shirt that says compost happens. Yes, have had my hands in the soil for decades. Rachel, life happens and you are living it with us. Thank you. Carol, you are so sweet. Gotta get me one of those t-shirts. That's so cute. And then 3 days ago, I also got another super thanks from Robert, and he sent me $5 and said, congratulations, Rachel. You deserve the best. Many blessings to you and Bob. Have a great day and keep on rocking. Thank you, Robert. That is so sweet of you. You guys are so amazing. I don't know why I was so reluctant to share that. I mean, obviously, there's always a keyboard warrior that like, and when it came to my relationship, like, I got sucked into the internet trolls for a second there. We've recovered. Everything is fine. No, really, it was like one negative comment, and clearly they just didn't watch the video. So it's cool. Now, let's talk about this missing money. Guys, this is crazy. Mostly, again, because I didn't know it was missing. Because I didn't know it existed until, I don't know, a few weeks back. All right, so if we rewind to February of 2023, that is when I left the nuclear plant. If you were here then, you remember that I gave that nuclear plant my soul for 5 years, with the intent of using that job to change my financial life around. And absolutely, hands down, yes, 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 like forever grateful of younger me, and every day that I dreaded, hated my existence. But I knew it was for delayed gratification and a life that I would one day wake up every day and be insanely happy about. So yes, thank you to me. So I'm so grateful for that time. But anyway, I stayed 5 years and one day to be fully vested in a pension that I knew I was going to turn around and cash it out. And also I made really good headway with a 401k. Prior to that, I had zero in retirement savings because I had cashed out little 401ks that I had accumulated along the way. And I mean like $1,000 or so, but needed them to live on because, again, I was trying to turn my financial life around. So starting from zero, I actually made a pretty dang good progress in that 5 years with my retirement savings, in addition to the 6 figures of debt that I paid off and the 12-month emergency fund that I saved. So like, absolutely hands down thankful for that job, always will be, but absolutely never again in my life. So I left in February of 23 and I went to a different job, and I cashed out that pension and had planned to use it for real estate. That was its intended purpose, and it acted as an emergency fund for the rental property that I've had for the last few years. My 401k I took with me. Unfortunately, I had to go from Fidelity to Vanguard because my new job had used Vanguard, which hate Vanguard. And so I knew I had the pension and the 401k. Those were, honestly, that pension was like all anyone talked about at work. Pensions are just not a thing anymore. And granted, it was kind of a watered down version of a pension of yesteryear, but it didn't matter. It was something. And the 3-year mark, which is what I was telling myself I was going to stay for, it landed in the middle of 2020. And I had, as an essential employee, it would not have been smart to leave my job. And so I just said, okay, next goalpost, 5 years for this pension, whatever. So I knew I had that when I left, and I had my 401k when I left. That was all I knew about. But then in the mail, I noticed I started getting quarterly dividend checks, which I didn't understand where they were coming from, to be perfectly frank. They were coming from the company Computershare, but the checks were made out to Vanguard for the benefit of Rachel. It didn't quite make sense to me. I had a Vanguard account at that time because the new job I was in then, that was what they used as for their 401k system. So I had rolled my 401k from the new plant with Fidelity to Vanguard, but I was getting these checks from Computershare made out to Vanguard, but for the benefit of me. And all I could do with them was deposit them into my Roth, which was with Vanguard at that point. So that's what I did. And I couldn't figure out what was happening. But then when it came time to move apartments, roughly a year and a half later, updated my addresses for everything. And then at the new address, I got the next quarterly dividend payout check, but it had been forwarded from my old address. And I thought, well, that's weird. Maybe they just didn't get the memo yet or hadn't updated the system or whatever. Double checked it in Vanguard. Yep, they have my new address, so I don't know why it's going to my old one. I didn't realize that it was an account with Computershare. I'd never heard of Computershare before. I'm still not even entirely sure what it does. It doesn't matter. But I tried to call Computershare, the 800 number, and all they could tell me is like I didn't actually have an account with them. I had to get a hold of Vanguard to update my address and everything. So I was like, well, that's strange. So I would like quadruple check my address in Vanguard, and it was updated. Next quarterly check came along. It was forwarded again. Then after that, they stopped coming, and I didn't notice because this whole second half, the last 3 quarters of 2024 was a lot of upheaval and change and moving, and so things got lost, and I just kind of forgot about them, to be perfectly honest. But then one day, a few months ago, I got a statement in the mail somehow from Computershare, and it got forwarded to my parents in Florida, but it still had my old address. And the letter in it said, you have unclaimed property. We have 2 checks that we've tried to issue to you. So my last, the prior to quarterly dividend checks at that point. And the letter said, they've been uncashed. What would you like us to do? You know, maybe they've been missing in the mail. Would you like us to reissue the checks? So I'm like, oh yeah, forgot about those, but also, what the heck? I tried to call them again. We can't update your address. It's something you have to do with Vanguard. Called Vanguard again for like the umpteenth time, and it's updated. We don't know what you're talking about. We don't know where these dividend checks are coming from. Like, your address is accurate in our system, so we don't know how to help you. And it just went on and got more frustrating. as they were both pointing the fingers at each other. And like, eventually I called NextEra Energy's HR hotline. That's the company that owned the nuclear plant that I worked for. And their logo was also on these statements from ComputerShare. So I thought, well, why don't I try that avenue? So I called them and they're like, oh, okay, we'll assign you like an HR ticket and someone will get back to you as soon as they can. So I was like, oh, okay. Well, actually, it was a day or two later, I got a phone call from this guy from NextEra's HR team. And thank goodness, he had actually in a prior job worked at Fidelity for many years. So he understood the language of all of this stuff. And he was like, here's what I think is happening, but I'm not sure. Try calling ComputerShare again and give them this information and see if you can get anywhere. And of course I didn't. They are just like, we can't do anything. We need Vanguard to be the one to tell us to do this, since this account is technically in Vanguard's name, even though it's for the benefit of you. You can't do anything to update the address that we have for you in our system. So it's just a repeat of more of the same. So I got back to the guy from HR and he's like, this is crazy. Why don't we try and three-way call them and I can like maybe help you through, which I loved, because even though I give a real big shit about my finances, I'm still not like that well versed as far as investing goes. I keep it very simple, very basic. So getting deep into any of this jargon is just so over my head. But he jumped on a three-way call with me with ComputerShare. Thank goodness, because everything they went back and forth about was just like, whew, whew. But it was madness. They were just like, we can't help her because this is a Vanguard account and blah, blah, blah. And the guy's like, are you kidding me? Like, this is crazy. She's just trying to update her address. She's not trying to take the money or anything. And like, this account is with you guys at ComputerShare. Vanguard is not seeing this money under her name and they have no clue what she's talking about. And like, wild. But she was like, we can't do anything. You need to get Vanguard to take responsibility for this account and give us permission to let you update your address. And I'm like, and the guy was like, this is crazy. And he asked her some more questions and she put us on hold for a minute to go talk to someone else about it or whatever. And while we were on hold, he's like, this is friggin' nuts. Here's what you should do, because it should not be this hard. It should be very basic. On his back end through the NextEra HR system, he was able to backdate from my quit date with NextEra. That is when they apparently opened this brokerage account for me in Vanguard's name. And it turns out I own 393 shares of NextEra Energy stock, and that was something that they did for me on the date of my leave, because I had put in my 5 full years of being vested. And I honestly have no idea why I got these shares. Obviously I had been accumulating them during my employment there, I guess. I don't know. No one ever talked about that. I had no clue it was happening. Nothing. And like I said, I wasn't able to see these shares or their worth or how they were doing or anything, because I was not able to make a ComputerShare account, because the account is technically under Vanguard's name. And on Vanguard's end, they don't see the money because it's like not actually attached to my personal name. So it's just a giant cluster of things that went wrong. But the HR guy was able to explain to me, he said they just did it in a lazy way. So ComputerShare opened this account in a lazy way is what he meant. He thinks that instead of doing it full and proper and opening a brokerage account in my name through me and like looping me in on it and what was happening, that they just kind of opened a backdoor brokerage with Vanguard, but for the benefit of me. And it was like the quick and easy way to do it instead of involving me. But since they did it that way and didn't involve me, I don't actually have physical access to my money, my shares, my whatever. The account in general. But basically we got nowhere with the three-way phone call. Like, she was still just saying, what I have to do is contact Vanguard again and get someone who can get on the phone and understand what's happening, and then I have to do like a letter of authorization or disavowalment or something. Like, it needs a seal and this and that, and it's just like crazy. So after the phone call, the guy from HR and I got back on the phone, and he was like, why don't you just try opening a brokerage with Fidelity? I'll send you this PDF, because like I said, he was able to see in the on NextEra's end the history of them opening the account. He knew exactly how many shares I owned of NextEra Energy, and opening a brokerage account with Fidelity, I could request the exact number of shares of the stock that I own in my name and just hope that it went through. And that way it would get my shares out of ComputerShare's hands, out of Vanguard's hands, and then back with Fidelity, but in my personal account, and therefore back in my full control. He said, it's a shot in the dark. I don't know if it'll work, but here's a PDF showing exactly how many shares you own in your name and your account number with ComputerShare. And because he understood the Fidelity system, he told me exactly how to do it. Boom, boom, boom. Very simple steps. And lo and behold, 4 days later, I got an email from Fidelity that said, your transfer is complete. And I was like, no way. No way. It worked? So I like flew over to my computer and logged in, and it flippin' worked. It flippin' worked. Like, I was flabbergasted when the NextEra HR guy was telling me I owned 393 shares of NextEra stock, and it was worth, at the moment, about $29,000. Like, my jaw hit the floor because I was like, what? That's a huge, huge amount. What the heck? So it's just like one additional way, like massively additional way, that past self and past me surviving a job that absolutely sucked the life out of me for the future benefit of myself is paying off again, because that is insane. That's insane. But it's just crazy that because of the way ComputerShare opened that account, I was never notified, never alerted, never got account statements, nothing. The only thing I ever got from them was those quarterly dividend checks, and nothing in that paperwork told me how many shares I owned, what the heck I owned, how much anything was worth, where these dividends were coming from. And they were like pretty much $201, $202 right on the nose every quarter. So like the whole thing just eluded me because I was never notified about any of it because of the way the account was opened. But holy crap, what a come up. It's insane. Today, as of filming, because the stock market's tanking a little bit over here in the US of A, just because of the economic climate over here. So at the current moment, it's worth $27,690.78. But it's just kind of funny. You can see over the last couple days since this account opened, it's been dropping. It started with about $28,905 2 days ago. But it's okay. Obviously, I don't care. I'm not going to touch the money. So it's, I'm sure it'll come back. It's going to fluctuate, whatever. But if I take this current amount and I pop over to my spreadsheet where I'm just tracking my net worth and all of the assets that I currently hold, and I add in this $27,690.78. Obviously, that's a huge impact to my overall net worth, which is just amazing. But also, what is amazing is I now officially have over $100,000. In fact, about $105,000 in total invested in retirement savings. And I'm not even sure this Fidelity brokerage that I just moved these shares to is specifically retirement. I think it's just a brokerage account. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not super well versed in the investing world. I'll have to look into it a bit, but I don't care. I'm looking at it as retirement savings because I don't plan on needing investment money anytime soon, hopefully, knock on wood and all that. But wow, how insane to just suddenly wake up one day and you find out you have almost 30K more than you thought you had is just wild. wild. Like, it's crazy. Man, life has just had the craziest twists and turns lately in all of the beautiful ways. Like, my heart, and like, money aside for sure, my heart is so flippin' happy lately. You guys, we just spent the whole weekend boiling down about 50 gallons of maple sap to make our own syrup. So the first harvest of the homestead for the calendar year is now complete. Well, I shouldn't say complete. We're not done. There's still more sap to be collected because the temperatures are right over the next few days. And so we're going to get some more. But I'm so excited to share our whole maple sugaring process with you guys. So that video will be up soon. But the next video that you're going to see from me is me going through all of the seeds that I'm planting for the upcoming garden season, because some of you expressed that you were interested in that. So if you are, that'll be the next video out. So if you are not subscribed, please do so. Hang around. It's going to be a fun year of homesteading and finding ways to save money by living a bit more off the land. Thank you guys so much for being here and all of your support and uplifting comments. I appreciate you all so much. I'll see you very soon. Bye.